Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Professor Arifin. How are you?
Sorry, I still can't hear you. Just a moment. Is my voice clear?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh,
Can you hear me, Dr. Arifin?
hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Mr. Max, your voice loud and clear.
Okay, can you can hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Who just spoke?
Hello? Halo, sedang bicara. Hello? Could you hear me?
Yes, Professor Maliawan, I hear you.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Dr. Arifin, Mac, Mr. Mac, Downham,
Thank you.
and other colleagues. Good evening. Nice to meet you all.
Good evening to you, sir.
Yeah. What time is now there? Yeah, at 8 o'clock p.m. in Bali.
Good evening, Prof. Maliawan.
Good evening.
Is my voice clear?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay, just a little trouble with my sound system. Okay, now it's working. Good morning, Max. I think it's still morning in the US.
It's 10 minutes till 6 a.m. Yes.
Wow. So it's
So good
very
evening
early.
to you. Good evening to you, Dr. Arifin.
Yeah. It's very early in the US now, right?
It is very early here. Yes. Happy to be with you, though. So no problem.
Okay. What time usually people wake up in this season?
Well, I'm unusual, perhaps. I normally wake up at about 4 a.m. So this is not too much of a burden for me because I'm generally up, and that's just my biological time clock. So go ahead.
Yes, please continue.
So I normally am, I go to bed for perhaps 9:30, 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., excuse me. And so I normally will wake up about 4:30. On weekends, I get up a little bit later.
Wow,
Okay.
it's excellent arrangement. I think you can wake up early in the morning.
I love mornings. So
Okay.
morning is for whatever the reasons, mornings are one of my favorite times. So it's good, and so I've done that all my life. I always set an alarm, but even if the alarm does not function, I normally am awake. So once in a while, I sleep past it. So
Excellent. You always exercise in the morning, I think, because you have a lot of time before you go to work.
yes, I do, and that's one reason for getting up early. So it does allow me time to exercise, and that's very important to me. So particularly at my age. So
yes. How how far do you run every morning? You still run, right?
Well, yes, I still run.
Yeah.
You know, I've cut it back in the wintertime a little bit, but normally I do one or probably close to 2 miles. And then on weekends, I'll do a longer distance. And if it's really snowy and icy here, then I will do it on a treadmill,
Okay.
which is a little bit different, as you know. It's very different, but it's better than not doing anything. So, and I don't want to. Again, if it's the weather is inclement, I prefer not to get out in bad weather or particularly fall on ice.
Is it still snowy in the US now? And you're is it still snow? There's still
Yes,
snow in the
it's yeah. Snow begins normally across the U.S. It varies by regionality,
Mhm.
but snow will normally begin in December, sometimes even November, and then last through March,
Mhm.
sometimes early April. It depends. The weather patterns are a bit different now, um, and but in Chicago this year, we've been very lucky. We've had very little snow, and so as a result, it's been fortunate. But normally, when that happens, we sometimes have a lot of snow later. So the winter is not yet passed by any means. We
Mhm.
have maybe 8 to 10 weeks to go in terms of snow season. So we may end up having, the result may be that we'll have a lot of snow. But so far, we've been very fortunate.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the US is now uh, tightened the social restriction because of the pandemic.
Yes, that is exactly right. And so, but the restrictions are beginning to, some of the restrictions have recently been lifted.
Mhm.
And I think that, I think the infection rate and particularly people dying, that those statistics are now in a favorable direction.
Okay.
And so I believe that, for example, the mayor of Chicago, the governor of Illinois, indicated yesterday that some of the restaurants may be allowed to open.
Oh, really?
So I think that the trend lines are positive and favorable. In Colorado, where my son lives, in Denver, they have allowed the students to go back to school
Mhm.
or start going back to school. And so I think that it's beginning to get better. I don't know, Dr. Arifin, how much of this is the positive psychology associated with the vaccination program here, and I
Yes.
know you have it's going on around the world. So um, the but things I maybe because of the vaccination or the vaccinations now things I think people are in a increasingly favorable state of mind and
Yes.
more positive psychology.
Uh-huh. So we just kick-started our national vaccination program
Okay.
yes, 2 days ago. And today, the implementation are starting to roll out in over Indonesia. But
Yes.
our vaccine is still limited, so the first batch is we prioritize for the health workers.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so I think we only have enough vaccine for perhaps about 1 million people yet.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
for the first batch, and there will be around 185 million people who will need it to be vaccinated. So it will
Yes.
take at least a year or more to
Yes.
get all the vaccine. The case in our country is rising now. So started on the 11th of January, the government issued a restriction, tighter restriction actually, for several cities in the Java and Bali, because of
Yes.
these area contribute to a lot of new cases in Indonesia.
Right.
So you still can go to the office, right?
Yes, I go to the office. Our office is in the International Museum of Surgical
Mhm.
Science building, and the museum is locked down because of the restrictions that are very similar to restaurants and other entities. But we're hoping that the museum will be allowed to reopen very soon. But even if the museum is closed down to the public, I still go to the office every day, and the staff is, the college staff is there because we have other matters in addition to the museum, the journal membership, and so forth. So yes, I still go to the office every day, and I'll go to the office today.
Yes. Part of our restriction is that the offices should only be admitting 25% of their employees,
Right.
except for hospitals and public services. So
Right.
in several cities, Jakarta, Surabaya, they limit the number of the employee who can come to the office to 25% of the normal capacity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So some of the office are limiting their services, but of course all the publics and our hospital is still have to run full speed, because
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
a lot of hospitals are already crowded now for the
Yes.
cases in Indonesia. I think
Well,
yes,
go ahead.
yes, go ahead, Max. Yes.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There are areas in the U.S. where the same trend lines exist as well.
Mhm.
I think California, I'm not sure what the current status
Mhm.
of California is, but I know that there are some areas in the U.S. that are have similar situations to what you just described.
Mhm.
And so, but overall, the U.S., I think the psychology is improving,
Mhm.
and I think with the vaccinations and so forth. But in the U.S., I had a regular follow-up visit with my doctor yesterday morning, internist, and he was telling me that the distribution, even in the Chicago metro area, respectfully spoken of everyone, of course, is uneven, and so I think logistically, it's a very difficult task to manage. And of course, everyone wants to have the vaccination. At least most people do, I think.
Okay. But is there enough vaccine for everybody?
No, it's limited, and I think I don't know if it will be a year, Dr. Arifin, before all of the people in the states who are willing to be vaccinated will be vaccinated, but it's going to take months to cover the USA population,
Yes.
and maybe not very dissimilar, maybe to Indonesia.
Yes. And I think the US also imported some of the vaccine, because even though the company who produced you have a company who produced the vaccine, but it will not be enough for the whole population of the states, right?
That's correct. I think the two companies who are in the forefront, in the vanguard, in terms of producing, vaccinations, are Pfizer and Moderna.
Yes.
And I think there are other companies who will, like Indonesia, be coming in. But I think Pfizer and Moderna at the current time are in the vanguard, if you will, of producing the vaccines.
Okay, I think it's already 7 p.m. We will start. Is it okay, Prof. Maliawan? You are still muted.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
Arifin,
I will. Yeah,
very
I
good.
will open. Today I will be your moderator for this session. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the presentation, and in order to avoid any disturbances during the presentation later, I would like you to mute your Zoom microphone, please. Thank you. The Honorable ICS World President, Professor Georgios Tsoulfas, Executive Director of ICS Global, Mr. Max Downham, President of the ICS-Indonesian Section, Professor Paul Tahalele, members of the ICS-Indonesia Section Central Committee, our honorable speaker, distinguished guests, surgeons, medical doctors, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And thank you for the great opportunity for meeting you in this session today. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this ICS Indonesian Section Surgical Forum Chapter 11 with the topics of humanitarian action. In this special occasion, we will have outstanding presentations from the presenters, and I believe that it will enrich our insight and knowledge regarding humanitarian action. The first agenda will be an opening speech from the Central Committee. This time will be by Professor Sri Maliawan. Professor Sri Maliawan, the time is yours.
Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunities. Gave me for this as the Vice President of INA FICS Indonesian chapter. Welcome to all speakers that already introduced by Dr. Arifin, and for all the participants. This chapter, 11th chapter, will discuss, talk about humanitarian of ICS Indonesian section. It seemed to be not so interesting because just 20 participants already registered. But I hope this presentation will enhance, at least we know what is the situation of Indonesian in the remote area, what we can do, or what we can help, what we can participate for humanitarian for the future, or next years, and so on. I will summarize what a humanitarian already done by INA FICS section in remote area, especially in Ambon and in East Nusa Tenggara, including Bali, Lombok, Flores, Sumbawa, and Timor. I will try to summarize about it. All of speakers, all of the participants, thank you, and please, watch, and if you have an idea, please send comment to to improve our humanitarian in next future. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Arifin. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Maliawan, for your opening speech. The next, I would like to invite Professor Georgios Tsoulfas. Is Professor Tsoulfas already join us? Okay, so I don't think Professor Tsoulfas is here. I would like to invite the next, is Mr. Marc Stoll here, or Mr. Philippe Stoll? Are you with us?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, your voice is clear, but I still cannot see your
Yes, sorry.
video. Okay, okay, you're on now. Uh, would you like to kindly to give an introductory speech before your presentation about the ICRC,
Yes,
so all of the participants may know what is the ICRC and what they are doing in the humanitarian action.
yes, with
Uh,
pleasure.
would you
First
kindly
of all,
do that, Mr. Philip Stoll? Thank you very much. The time is yours.
thank you. No, I really want to thank you sincerely for this opportunity to exchange with you. I will speak a little bit from our perspective, the International Committee of the Red Cross, one of the oldest humanitarian organization in the world, one of the largest also. I will give you more details after on some elements, but it's a pleasure. I have to say, I've been now working for this organization for 17 years, and I'm a little bit under pressure because I've talked to armed groups, to rebels, to military people, to students, but I never talked to surgeons. So it's a new how to say crowd for me, and it's always an interesting challenge to find a way to engage with a new group of people. I will give you a small overview of what we do, as I said, and I also wish that we can exchange and discuss, debate. I will focus on today's challenges that the humanitarian sector is facing. So I'll give a little bit of an overview, but then I will go more into today's trends and challenges. Over
Thank you
to
very
you. Thank
much,
you.
Mr. Should I call you Mr. Stoll, or should I call you Philip?
You can call me Philippe. That's very fine. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stoll. So the next agenda will be ICS international updates from Mr. Max Downham. Uh, Mr. Max Downham, the time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Arifin. First of all, I commend the Indonesian section. I cannot say it too often for conducting these webinars, which have been going on for several months. And I can only commend you, the leadership of the Indonesian section, for conducting these webinars. It's beginning of 2021. As you and I were discussing, Dr. Arifin, I think the things are hopefully getting better in the world, and certainly in terms of the activities of the college and humanitarian action. You know, the vision of the International College of Surgeons is to improve the lives of patients around the world through the education development of our members and other people who have an interest in the college. And we try to educate, communicate, and lead in the process. And certainly these webinars fulfill those missions. In terms of humanitarian action, humanitarian surgery, certainly the Indonesian section, as the people and the fellows in Indonesia know, has been and continues to be a leader in humanitarian surgery, not only in Indonesia, but other areas of the world as well. And again, I commend you for that. I can't say it, I can't give it more emphasis than I'm indicating, but we're very proud of you and the Indonesian section. Humanitarian surgery is increasingly the strategic focus of the International College of Surgeons. We believe that that's where the most significant contribution can be made to the fulfilling the vision of Dr. Max Thorek. And if you go to our website, the first, I think, page that you'll see is what we are all about in the ICS. and the website address is icsglobal.org. We are in official relations with the World Health Organization as a non-governmental entity or organization, NGO, and that is we've had this relationship for many years. It is extremely important to us because we believe that our strategic thrust of humanitarian surgery is in line and very much in agreement with the vision and the mission of the World Health Organization. Our journal, International Surgery, is shifting to more articles over time in terms of humanitarian action and humanitarian surgery. So, at least I speak too long. I thank you, Professor Maliawan, Professor Hindarto, and Professor Pramanto for inviting me to be part of this, and it's always my privilege and honor. To Professor Islam and Mr. Stoll and Professor Maliawan again, I thank you so very much. I look forward to hearing the presentations. Thank you, Dr. Arifin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Downham. We will start the presentations session. Before the presentations begin, we will have 3 presenters tonight. The first one will be Professor Andi Asadul Islam. Professor Andi, are you online already? Professor Andi? Okay, he's not yet online, I think. I cannot see his session. We will give the opportunity later. Maybe there is after Professor Andi join. The next presentation, I think we will skip Professor Andi for a moment. The next one will be from Mr. Philippe Stoll from the ICRC. Mr. Philippe Stoll is the Senior Communication Advisor, Strategies, Innovation and Research for the International Committee of the Red Cross, which is based on Geneva, Switzerland. Mr. Philippe Stoll, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. I will try to share my screen and you will tell me if you can see, because I won't see you anymore. Oh, I see you, yeah? Do you see my screen?
Yes, it is clear. Yes,
okay,
your voice is clear also.
Okay, perfect. I heard that in Chicago it's pretty cold. I have to say that in front of me I see snow. It's snowing. It's not very often in Geneva, so I'm pretty excited to see snow. Means that this weekend maybe I can go and skiing. So, but I send you a little bit of fresh air to Indonesia because I think weather there is a bit hotter than here. As I said, I'm truly honored to address this very prestigious audience. I've been working, as you mentioned, in Geneva for quite a while now, working on policies, mainly focusing on communication. And the angle of my presentation will be around these different challenges that we see these days with the growing digitalization of the world. I will focus on humanitarian action at large. I will also give a little bit of specific elements related to what we do in what we call in the ICRC, the health department. So it touches surgery, but also many other things. So I planned to do 3 small sections. One is humanitarian action today, globally, the contemporary challenges, and the issues related to the digitalization. In a nutshell, in very small words, we see that today, well, at the end of 2019, we don't have the figures for 2020, and I think there are many things that have evolved pretty rapidly because of the COVID crisis, but end of 2019, there were more than 80 million people who were displaced around the world. There is an estimate of 235 million people in need of humanitarian assistance. I'll come back to that, humanitarian assistance means. And we also estimate that 2.5 billion people are affected directly or indirectly by what we call fragility, conflict, violence. And I'm not going to enter too much in detail, but I'm sure you see what I mean. But it goes from a pure conflict, something that we see in the media, but some form of violence that are maybe less visible, such as, for example, gangs or things that affect directly the life or the capacity of people to have a normal life. So this is a little bit the framework in which we work. For the International Committee of the Red Cross, that was founded in 1863 by a businessman, Henry Dunant, with several other citizens of Geneva, among them one doctor called Louis Appia, which was pretty much involved in military medicine and has developed quite many manual and had a lot of innovation at the time to make the possibility for soldiers to be treated and to be saved in the battlefield. At the time, there was no really medical section or doctors in armies, and this has led to creation of similar how to say department or functions in armies. For us today, humanitarian action means many things. It means that a pregnant woman in the middle of South Sudan can deliver a baby in safe conditions. It means that a disabled person in Afghanistan can have a proper prosthesis, get physical rehabilitation, get maybe a microcredit so that the person can go back in the society. Maybe even find a job or be part of the community. It means that a grandmother, for example, in Gaza, can find her grandson and meet with her grandson who is detained either in Gaza itself or in Israel. It means that people in Syria can have access to clean and safe water. It also means that we do lobbying in favor of different people, directly to governments, but also at the highest level until since we have a seat as an observer at the UN Assembly. So for us, it is also important to, what matters to us is that we could be at the further in the field, closer to people, but also at the highest level. So we really like this somehow dichotomy to be sitting in conference centers, but also in the further places where we need to access by motorbikes or by boat, as I show in the first picture. This gives us the credibility because what we see is what we will defend, or the voices we will represent. We have also a strong role to play with what we call international humanitarian law. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but this is so-called the law of war. For decades or 100 years, we have been developing new rules that should prohibit unnecessary suffering in the course of war. Some of the rules are pretty straightforward. It's prohibiting the use of poisonous gas, for example, but also things that are maybe less evident, which relates to how to distinguish between a legitimate target, for example, a military barrack, and an unlegitimate object, such as a school. So this is a work which is pretty broad, but this is fascinating because it gives us a pretty broad overview of today's world. In health or medical sector, our activities are really also very numerous. And what is interesting is that every time we face a new question, a new issue, a new problem, we try to find solution. So definitely in the past, we used to have a lot of war surgeons. We still have a lot, but we have evolved. One example is that we have been supporting hospitals, or we have been running our own hospital for decades and decades in different places around the world, but now we are much more shifting towards support. In some places where I was based in the past, like Sierra Leone, the infrastructure was totally destroyed. Doctors or even nurses had flew the country, so there was no more structure, so we had to set up something. But our intention was that this was only temporary. We wanted to go straight to training nurses, to hire nurses or doctors so that they can continue the work without us. Right now, we are supporting 6 hospitals. 2 of them are in Somalia, 1 in Afghanistan, 1 in Nigeria, 1 in South Sudan, and 1 in Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. We also have mobile surgical teams in Somalia, South Sudan, Darfur, and Chad. This is for places where there is no infrastructure, but we can go when there is eruption of violence, and we can go there directly there with this small small. It's still pretty state of art, but a medical team which can do war surgery on the spot. It is estimated that since 1981, we have treated some 110,000 war-wounded patients. And we don't stop, as I said, in just doing. We have published a lot of material. I don't know to which extent you are familiar with that, but this is something where we try to learn from our own experience to provide guidelines, trainings, and so on. As I said, training is also very important. This is a picture from Afghanistan where we do training for nurses, and this hospital is based in Kandahar, and we have now I forgot the exact number, but reaching almost 1,000 graduate students from the hospital who either stay in the hospital or go elsewhere. And this is something we are very proud of. We also give lectures, we have scientific articles and elements like that. I mentioned also we do work a lot around the question of health. We are involved in public health, but also when there is no other possibility, we do help people who face issues such as what you have as a picture. This is in Afghanistan. These are people who are victims of landmines, for example. Or I think in that case it was polio, and we provide people with prosthesis, physiotherapy, etc. We also do forensic work, and this is something which is pretty new, I would say. It's only 20 years old. This is something we faced, or we realized that many people don't know what happened to their relatives. And this kind of silent suffering is impacting the mental health of many people. So we have invested in forensic activities, and it sounds a bit strange, but this is something which is very successful and is a relief for many people. One example is that we have helped the Argentinian authorities to identify the whereabouts of different soldiers who died in the war between UK and Argentina in the 80s around the Falkland Island. I don't know if you remember that, but there was mass graves, and just bringing back some bones and some elements to the families was such a relief. And this is really almost a work of an ant, going and doing and spending times. This is also very useful work that we do a lot around the migration crisis, when migrants die in the sea and there is little information about them, so we try to collect and do that work. The last one, and the picture is reversed, and that's on purpose. We have launched an initiative called Healthcare in Danger. This has been running for now 10 years. It's kind of an advocacy communication campaign where we want to raise the awareness of the question of violence against health workers. And I'm sure you saw it these days with the COVID crisis. This has increased a lot. People are attacking or abusing or stigmatizing health workers because of their role with the COVID crisis. And this has been for us a priority. And this campaign is running right now in Colombia, and it says the world is upside down. It's based on the good old "don't shoot the ambulance," but this is really something where we want to insist. So we have global campaigns, we have push for new legislation, we are pushing countries to ratify global treaties, but also to identify and do their own local legislation where doctors, or when people are abused or attacked, there are dire consequences on people. Going quickly to the contemporary challenges that we face, there are a few elements that has changed over the past 20, 30 years. First, and this is not a surprise to you, I guess, that the civilians are paying the high price of conflicts or violence. It's not anymore military people fighting against each other. It's something where we see that more than 90% of people victim of the conflicts or violence are civilians. And this is a worry for us, because these are people who should not, according to the law, should not be a target and not be subject to the consequences of a conflict. We also see something which is a little bit worrying for us. We always think that humanitarian action is like emergencies. We have long-lasting emergencies, if we can say it. We call them protracted conflict. I can give an example. We have been in Afghanistan for 39 years, in Somalia for more than 40 years, in Gaza for 6 decades. My colleagues right now in Iraq are working on a campaign to mark the 40th anniversary of the presence of the ICRC. So it's something which can impact much more and more deeper the people. I mentioned mental health, and this is one of the things we realize, that we have a generation of people who don't know what peace is. So it's not a conflict all the time linear. It goes up and down and goes up and down. And for us as a humanitarian action, it's very difficult, because we have the mentality that one day we'll leave, and we hope we leave the soonest as possible, because it means that the situation is better. But unfortunately, we have to stay. One other element is the fact that these conflicts are taking place in urban settings. It's not anymore in the countryside. Still, in some places, it happens there. But you know that combat and violence happens there, and has an impact on also the infrastructures. And this is also a new challenge for us, because we work in emergencies. We don't look at development, but sometimes, like in places like Gaza, we have to work on water systems or water infrastructure. So we had to hire a new type of people who are working in the domain, who knows how to reestablish a water system, so that we stop doing water trucking, for example. And that's the same mentality we had when we used to have our own hospital, a field hospital for a year or two, and then we leave. Here, we really want to invest on the longer term. And the last part is the way conflicts are conducted. You don't have anymore an army with a chain of command fighting another army, and it's pretty clear. Here, you have a fragmentation of groups. I'm sure that those who follow the situation in Syria knows that in some places you have 5, 10 different groups holding part of a city, and to get an agreement to go and enter a place, it's so complicated and makes our work much more complex. The contemporary challenge related to that, for us, I can summarize them, but there are much more than these. But we face an issue of trust and security. I mentioned the number of attacks on health workers. It touches also us and non-health workers. As humanitarian workers, we face much more violence and attacks on us. The whole question of trust, I'm sure these days, is really on top of the news, where people don't trust institutions, they don't trust the specialist. There is always someone who says, oh, I heard that someone else has another theory. And for us, the Red Cross, which is a universal symbol that is known that we are here just to help, is not anymore a protection for. We go and people are like, are you not a spy for these people, or are you not having a hidden agenda? And that's make our work much more complex in terms of accessing and proximity. I mentioned at the beginning, our desire is to be as close as possible to people, firsthand. It means we don't want to be an organization that has implementing partners. We work a lot with the local Red Cross or Red Crescent. I've been to Indonesia quite a few times, and we worked a lot with the PMI, for example, in different situations because they know the context. But we want also to be there to do the work, but also to report back. And this proximity with people is decreasing because of the lack of access and the question of security. A new element is the question of accountability. People are much more aware of their rights, which is very good, but it makes also our life more complicated because we used to have like, okay, this is the basic parcel for people who don't have a house anymore. But the needs are different, the questions are different, and we want to be much more accountable, much more tailor-made in our assistance, which cost much more. And this is also an issue of resources which are decreasing. The last point, and I will go quickly in the 2-3 details, which is the digitalization. I mentioned COVID as a main challenge today that has accelerated these elements, including the digitalization. We saw this with the contact tracing apps that have been developed in quite a few countries, but I'll come back to that. So digital, it comes with new needs. One of the first questions we have when we meet people, refugees, they come and they say, oh, where's the Wi-Fi? And this is pretty much a surprise. We have food, we have shelter, we have health, we have quite many things. Is it the role of an organization like us to provide Wi-Fi? And what if this Wi-Fi is used in an appropriate manner? We know that in places we have seen, we set up a hotspot. After 3 days, 2 days, once the people have taken a little bit news or give news to their families, the bandwidth is totally broken because people start to watch videos. Is it that the role of an organization like us to provide that? These are questions that are impacting the way we do. There is something we call infobesity, and definitely you have seen it during the COVID-19. There is so much information that people don't know where to find the right information, who to listen to. And this relates to the question of trust. How do you make yourself a trustful source of information? How is it that people will think that what you are saying is true and not a conspiracy theory or something like that? Which leads to disinformation, misinformation, where we see already in the US, for example, these last days. But imagine in a conflict situation, in situations where disinformation can lead to dire consequences. We saw that, for example, in Myanmar, where there were a huge campaign on social media, which led to the killing of certain categories or groups in the country. The last one that relates to accountability is the transparency. People ask for more transparency. They want to know where the money goes. They want to know if we really helped. And there is a bigger scrutiny. This is very positive for us because it means that we can demonstrate the added value of our work. Quickly, the new needs. I mentioned the Wi-Fi. This was also something that we took in South Sudan. It's interesting that people are asking for a charging station, and this was my first picture. It's a mobile solar mobile charging station because that's what people need. We want to be relevant, and this is using new means to geolocate places where people can get water so that they don't go around the city and being exposed. This is in Aleppo in Syria. We use big data. I don't want to enter too much in detail. And also, as I said, the risk and challenges of people being suddenly caught in the wrong place, wrong moment. We speak a lot these days about data protection, privacy, and this is exactly for us the same. We know that military people, for example, use this information or different information to conduct hostilities. So this is something we are very careful of. And I'm ready to answer a few of your questions around that because I'm conscious of time and I don't want to take the rest. So in a nutshell, digital is something very interesting. It accelerates, but comes with new vulnerabilities, privacy, persecution, and stuff like that. Voila. I hope I was comprehensive enough or responded to what you wanted, but yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philippe Stoll. Uh, I think Professor Andi Asadul has joined us. So the next presentation, I invite Professor Andi Asadul Islam, MD, FICS, PhD, to present his presentation in humanitarian surgery involving the medical students. Professor Andi, the time is yours.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Frans. And before our presentation, I would like to give some information. This is yesterday we have a earthquake in Sulawesi Barat. It's a West Sulawesi with a lot of victims and a lot of building include governor's place broken. Then from this morning till now, we still send our sorry, you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Prof. Your voice is clear. Please continue.
We send our team to go there, and some of them is already in the earthquake area, but till now I don't have any information, clear information about how many victims and how about supporting hospital and so on and so on. But we need support from all of you, especially please pray for Sulawesi Barat, and hope in a few days all of them under control. Just thank you very much. I would like to present my slide, please. Dr. Frans.
Yes, Prof. The slide is with the committee.
Yes.
Okay. I will try to ask for the slide. Okay, it's done. Please, Prof.
Yeah. And that medical student involving in humanitarian action. That's and I was in a FICS din of it's about 8 years or 10 years ago. I was in FICS din of a student in Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Hasanuddin, and at the time I involved a lot of humanitarian action belong to the medical student. Then slide, please. Slide, please. Okay. The aim of humanitarian action is to support people affected by conflict and natural disaster to save lives, alleviate suffering, and maintain human dignity during crisis. And Indonesia is like a hypermarket for the disaster. And then we need all help, even from student or from social worker, to support people in those area who got disaster, natural or man-made, it doesn't matter. And humanitarians battle disease, hunger, and violence is some of the most inhospitable situation and location and climates. Uh, in our experience, the most difficult part of disaster is about 2 or 3 years ago in Palu. Airport broken, also the roads broken, and we cannot reach the location of the disaster. And then it's a very difficult to reach the location of disaster. But with some effort using Navy, and then also help from governor, some of us can reach the location. A slide, please. Okay. As an introduction, medical students have the part as a medical team in Faculty of Medicine of Universitas of Hasanuddin. We call TBM. TBN is the Tim Bantuan Medis or Medical Effort Team. And some of their action, including a missing, help missing person, forest fire, floods, a landslide, earthquakes, and even a tsunami. Besides being able to help, medical students who are involved in humanitarian action also gain knowledge and experience that may not be obtained in university education. This is more important. How to how to the student get experience and knowledge from disaster in every location, in any location. This is a very good a very good experience for them. Okay, slide please. This is some of earthquake in Lombok, and on August 5th of August 2018, this destructive and shallow earthquake measuring 7 in the island of Lombok, Indonesia. Also, yesterday it's about 9.8. It's then also shallow, and maybe it's perhaps a earthquake in Lombok, most likely the same with earthquake in Sulawesi Barat. And we need all support from any person, from government or from student, also from people, to get help for people in West Sulawesi. This is the Lombok earthquake. We send our student to Lombok. Then at the time, I have help from one company, big company in Jakarta, send a lot of drugs and so on by the private jet. And thanks for them. Next slide. This is the we call Tim Bantuan Kalkanius. Tim Bantuan Medis Kalkanius is the international Lombok international airport Lombok. Is August 17 August. This is some of our team. Slide. Yes, it's okay. Sorry. This is a Palu earthquake. Many bodies along the shoreline, and you can see the picture. September 18, the shallow large earthquake with the epicenter located in mountains Donggala Regency. So I was there, and a very pity for people of Palu. Slide. This is also a picture of a student sent to Palu for help of people, treatment, and also surgery. Slide. Yes. Slide. This October 22nd, the forest fire occurred in Mount Lopobatang, it's South Sulawesi. And then we also send our student to the location to help people and a missing person. Slide again, please. Also, this is a big flood in South Sulawesi, Luwu. The name of regency is Masamba. It's a very big flood, July 13. It's just half year ago. Because the severe flooding was caused by heavy rainfall in the three rivers, Masamba, Rongkong, and Meli to overflow. That's a problem with deforestation. It's about 2 or 3 years ago. This area still like forest, but right now it's because of deforestation, and then again the people got a heavy flood because of deforestation in the Masamba area. And we also we were there with the student to help people. Slide. This is IKABI, with the student and help the patient in a settlement. Slide. Okay, we also have her service for nursing home. Every year before Ramadan, we send our student to rural area for the health services. And this is a routine every year before Ramadan. The slide. Then also, because of pandemic, distribution of personal protective equipment sent to 35 public health centers in 6 districts. Then the support by Faculty of Medicine, also supported by Ministry of Health. Slide. Yes. And then this is the last slide. It's just to remind ourselves, myself, remember the power to change the words in your hand. Use it and heal the world. And this is the medical students involved in a lot of disaster in Indonesia, especially in eastern part of Indonesia. Thank you very much. Back to you, Dr. Frans.
Thank you very much, Professor Andi. Yes, you remind us that we still have a disaster that is just happened in Sulawesi. So I would like to invite all participants to pray for the victims. We will keep silent for 1 minute to pray for the victims in Sulawesi. Thank you very much. We will continue for the last presenter. The last speaker will be Professor Sri Maliawan. He is the Vice President for the Indonesian ICS section. Professor Maliawan, the time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Frans, as a moderator. Thank you for everybody who still attending this chapter. Can I share my slide?
Yes,
Please,
Prof.
share there and I will start share now. Professor Andi's slide still there. Can you close it and then I will share?
Yes. Please, the technical team, please end Professor Andi's slide and give the screen to Professor Maliawan.
Before I talk, when I saw Mr. Stoll, sorry, I have been working with UNICEF and Indonesian Red Cross in collaboration with International Committee of Red Cross from Geneva in East Timor when I just graduated as a medical doctor in 1983 to 1984. I was worked there in East Timor as the director of Indonesian Red Cross and UNICEF relief medic there, doing some immunization and everything for 1 year. It's very interesting to work with your ICRC and UNICEF and so on. The Dr. Andi's, Professor Andi's slide is still there, so I cannot share. I just want to share and summarize what is the ICS-Indonesian section doing humanitarian from 2016 until now. And
Excuse
before
me,
that,
Prof. Maliawan,
yeah?
you can directly share your screen
Okay,
now.
yes. Could you see my slide?
Not yet.
This one?
No, it's not. It's still not changing.
Oh, it's the time. I already shared it as what do you say? As presentation there. Let's still there. You can see it. Maybe
Not
you.
yet, Prof.
Yeah. Professor Andi slide.
Yeah, here you are screen sharing, but yeah, okay. I will try to contact the host.
I already shared it.
It's
Anybody?
21 hours.
Anybody see my slide?
No one. No.
No, Prof.
Prof.
Still,
Prof. Maliawan, not
because
yet.
yeah.
This is my second slide. You cannot see it. Okay, I stop and then I start again. Okay. I stop share and start again. You are screen sharing now, live, but is it okay now? You see, no? Okay, I stop for a moment, okay? Oh, Professor Andi's slide is still there. Okay, I start now, restart. Okay, now I restart, okay? Is it okay? You see it?
Yes, Prof. It's already there.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. Very
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
To this second slide, okay? I just summarized a lot of slides, but I will show it briefly, okay? At ICS, I chair the World ICS meeting last in 2015 in Bali, Nusa Dua. It's very a lot of participants there. But then in 2016, there is the first action, yeah? Medical mission 2016. I joined ICS Global, ICS-Indonesian section, Taiwan, Poland section, collaboration with the medical school, Patimura University, Ambon Island, Indonesia. May 13 to June 4. This is our Indonesian, what we say, archipelago. The location of the first action is around here. This red one, around here, Saparua. This. When you see the International College of Surgeons and Kaohsiung Medical University in collaboration with Patimura University and Ambon Province government join and arrange humanitarian action for the improvement of Maluku Province community. We have from Indonesia, Taiwan, from Hong Kong and Poland. International symposium, see, we do that. There is for the first time maybe some international standard of presentation come to University of Patimura there. Yeah? Very, what we say, competent speaker from ICS Global, Taiwan, Poland, and so on speak there. And also lecture, small group discussion to the medical staff, medical student, to the nurse, and everything there. This is joint surgery also, Shimono-Brescia-San operation. Also, we cannot doing sophisticated surgery, but innovation for surgery, what we can do to help the people there. It's a remote area. Also, sometimes the services is not as difficult as organize all staff, device, and equipment, and collaboration with the government, local government, and so on. That is the most difficult process. And then after all it finished, we can, what is it, doing all services very safe and with what we say, smiling people there. Also, we did PP-SAN operation. There is, we have one neurosurgeon company there. And then transurethral resection of prostate, yeah, 2 patients, benign lesion of prostate. General medical services at 2 clinics. It's very remote area. Yeah, it helped by medical student. Yeah? The general surgery, general surgeon. There is Dr. Frans there. There's a plastic surgeon there. There's a Professor Aikwan from Taiwan. They actively participate there and very enthusiastic. And also the student from University of Patimura very seriously attend and watching all of the activity there. And the second action is 2017. We moved to another island also in that area also in Ambon. And then in 200 years commemoration of National Hero Patimura, the Medical School of Patimura, University held humanitarian surgery, even in which it's already had a cooperation with ICS Global, ICS-Indonesia section, Taiwan section, and Malaysia section. Yeah. What we did there is in the hospital, based on facility available there, general or hospital only 1, Saparua sub-district general hospital 60 bed, yeah? Public health care 6 community health center, and so on. This is a second year of humanitarian surgery program. Sorry. Lecture, Patimura University, joint surgery, workshop, surgery for 56 cases, moderate surgery and minor surgery in Saparua General Hospital, general medical services, circumcision, yeah? 461 and 16 patients, including 24 circumcision, yeah? Medical equipment donation with the medical student there from Taiwan, and this one from donation for the student, and then invitation and fees for 2 medical students of Faculty of Medicine of Patimura to join and participate in ICS Federation meeting in Kaohsiung University. There is a press conference there. There's recreation team of durian. Is a very specific. It could taste for us, but some of foreigner or overseas people don't like this taste and smell. This is a plastic surgeon, the Dr. Paul, the president of FICS-Indonesian section. There's a team from ICS-Indonesia, Taiwan, Malaysia, at Saparua General Hospital. This is Frans Arifin, our moderator. This is the staff team, and this dinner with the mayor of Ambon, and then welcome party ICS. This is a visiting lecture, yeah, from Professor Paul. Yeah. There is rare come to remote area to present a world-class presentation. It's very good example there. Professor Wang Chen is also like this, and then operating theater, we should doing innovation based on the priority is sterilization of the place of the operating field and equipment. That's very important. This is also another village there. And then the governor participate in welcoming all of the team. Visiting lectures from Professor Sunario, who is a lecturer in Erlangga University also. And then this is all patient diagnosed with hemangioma, this minor surgery and moderate surgery, not advanced. For what we say, neurosurgeon, for neurosurgery, just PP-SAN. That we can do because the facility available there. And then the third humanitarian, we did ICS Global, Indonesian section, Taiwan, and Guatemala, Switzerland. Did also in collaboration, in conjunction with Patimura University Ambon. We did the same health services, lecture, workshop, and continue to another village, not in the same location. But the university collaboration still with Patimura, the biggest university there. This is the key person there, Professor Ekwan, Professor Paul, and the other one. 2 workshops, wound care and first emergency relief, we did there. The participant is general practitioner, the medical student, and the doctors there, the general surgeon already who stay there. We did PP-SAN, AP-SAN, pulmonologist. That is depend on the facility available in that place. Supervision and guidance of medical service activities, medical student, global ICS, and all participants from overseas can supervise the medical student there. This screening and general treatment of 100 community members, as well as small circadian operation on 15 children, undertaken by 30 young doctors of the School of Medicine, Patimura University. Joint surgery, PP-SAN. This one, the doctors is from Indonesia, from Taiwan. This thoracic surgeon vascular, Pipistra. This one, supervised public health services by specialist doctors from ICS, screening general treatment, circumcision standard on 15 children, conducted by 30 young doctors from medical school Patimura in Banda Buru village. Donation received from ICS Taiwan section. This is a situation on the operating theater. It's a good and but this was a sophisticated operation, was sent to Surabaya, Sutomo Hospital. This is the Holusi Hospital, Maluku province. This is last 2 years PP-SAN that then got arrested. Dependent son arrested, hydrocephalus, were checked at that time. It's very good. This is coordination with governor of Maluku province. That's what I said. Organize and coordination with the local rule and what we say, culture and so on. That is most difficult part of this humanitarian services. This mayor of Ambon, and then Si Han Wang, in Paul Tahili, in what we say Gong Perdamaian, word peace gong, that was in Ambon. Now we come to Bali. The charity outreach program for cleft lip and palate and burn reconstruction. Department of Surgery, University, Udayana University, Sanglah Hospital, in Bali. I am now the head of the department since last year, and now was changed by Dr. Samadi, and now I am the coordinator of trainee in neurosurgery in Sanglah Hospital in Pasar. This is my area. This is Bali, and then outreach charity program from Clip Lab, Lombok, Lombok, Flores, Sumbawa, Sumba, and East Timor. There's a lot of small island there. Also, this Sumbawa, what we say Bali, West Nusa Tenggara, this one, and then East Nusa Tenggara, East Nusa Tenggara. East Nusa Tenggara, Sumbawa, Sumba, and Timor. This is the area of cleft lip. It was organized coordinator humanitarian charity, Nyoman Putu Riasa MD PhD, ICS, plastic surgeon, consultant reconstruction. Cases cleft lip and palate. There are many cases were not repaired in proper time due to unavailable of local health services in remote east part of Indonesia. Burn contracture, burn survival did not get adequate physiotherapy, splinting and scar management. Deformity or sequelae after NOMA infection, lack of sanitation, hygiene, and nutrient lead to prolonged infection and tissue destruction. That's the problem. This is the just what we say many type of cleft lip. Yeah? Later I will discuss what they do. A lot of this still until adult and old patient, because what we say ignorant and don't know what to do and where to go. And the team from Bali with the medical student and the doctors, plastic coordinated by plastic surgeon, doing a charity outreach program to Lombok, Flores, Sumbawa, Sumba, East Timor, and any remote area there. Activities, regular outreach operation in 8 regency in Bali, also by local plastic surgeon. Outreach operation at the east part of Indonesia by Indonesian Plastic Surgeon Society. Outreach operation cooperation with Interplus Australia, New Zealand. And then a lot of difficult cases, very complex cases, sent to Australia to reconstruct there. And then all of the financial problem covered by NGO like Yayasan Putri Bali, Rotary Club, NGO, Yayasan Senyum. There is a Stein Smile, Dharmais, and this is NGO who participate in this outreach charity surgery for cleft lip. I don't show you many detail of surgery, but I show you what the activities of plastic surgeon charity. Start on July 2006 in West Nusa Tenggara, a 40 patient. June 2007, Sumba, West Sumba, 48 patient. June 2008, Sumbawa, Big Sumbawa besar versi 40 patient, 50 patient. Mat Air Hospital in Bali, negara, West Bali, 7 patients. 2009, Sumbawa also 60 patients. August, Tabanan, 50 patients. March, Negara, a lot, and so on. Mei, Sanglah, Sumba Barat, Gianyar, Singaraja, 8 patients. 40 patients also, even in Denpasar, still in the remote area, still we have what we say, cleft lip problem, who do not what to do. Kertausada, Singaraja, patient, Dharmayatnya, the patient come from East Nusa Tenggara, sent to Dharmayatnya because complex problem with cleft lip. Yeah? They send subsidized by in NGO. This all surgery in Denpasar. The patient come from another island. Yeah? August, Karangasem, still we have there. Tabanan, and also 2013, we go to Timika, Papua. 40 patients was have a cleft lip problem there. Timika, Papua, Kertausada, and so on. August, I think plastic surgeon already organized a lot of charity surgery for cleft lip. This operating room setting. Operating room setting, I think, patient and not need a sophisticated operating theater. I think most of type C hospital, we can do this. We come to with overseas plastic surgeon, and then local surgeon there, medical student, and also general surgeon participate in this charity. This is Dr. Putuyasa. This is staff from Australia. We talk with the traditional hat here, what we say udang. This is also surgery, what we say plexus brachial lesion. Yeah? They're doing neurolysis and so on, but not in East Nusa Tenggara. We send to Denpasar. Okay? Combined charity education program also, but we all of the what we say, all of the plastic surgeon from overseas country, we ask him, all of them, to deliver a lecture to student, to medical doctor, to trainee, general surgeon in Sanglah Hospital. Reconstructive microsurgery and burn course also. We have the, what we say, world-class plastic surgeon who deliver lecture regarding wound healing, burn management, and reconstructive microsurgery course. Bibir sumbing, that means cleft lip. Bayangkara, that means army hospital there, but they send, what we say, many patients from another island to come to this and surgery, charity surgery there. And we have also, please, Dr. Frans, if the time is still over, already near over, let me know about that, okay? If not, I will continue. Urologist charity, we have Gede Wiryo Kusumo Dwarso, MD, MSD, PhD, ICS. He was the senior consultant of pediatric urologist. What he do, I am very appreciative of him, because what? They are doing right now already a simple technique of vasectomy charity, almost 10,000 before up there during 2004 and until now. So you get also not only vasectomy, or also circumcision. The there is also collaboration with overseas for the first time for overseas. And then now he organized as a, what we say, chief of the team for vasectomy and circumcision. There is a medical student he delivered a lecture there. It's also not only program for vasectomy and circumcision, they sometimes also what we say bring some food and so on to share to the village remote area. Is in collaboration with Airlangga University. This lecture to the student, briefing before the action. And this, what I said, we should smart, yeah, coordinate, organize with the key person there, yeah, the head of the village there. Yeah. Most of the first meeting is at village hall, yeah, and we talk what to do and when and so on, every detail of it. Yeah. The Bali Kembar, Wantilan, the whole village also, village hall. Yeah. This is the appreciation for the government, for the public family, for the national family planning services to Dr. Gray, because due to done more than 5,000 vasectomy from 2011, and recently he already done almost 10,000 vasectomies with a simple technique, what we say, developed by him with just a needle. Just by needle, he can do it very fast. There's still a lot of slides, but I want to share with you, but because of this time, can discuss it. Thank you for your attention, and thank you. That's Dr. Arifin. That's yours now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sri Maliawan. It's a very interesting presentation. We have heard from all the three presenters that action and humanitarian surgery have a very wide applications, and we know that different circumstances, different location, different people may require different approaches for their needs in the surgery. We as the surgeon and medical doctors, we could contribute to this action, and I believe that the International College of Surgeons is very keen in supporting the way that we do surgeries in the remote areas and providing people with essential surgical cares. And of course, we also have heard from Philippe that there are a lot of challenges in different parts of the world, also in different settings, in war zones, that maybe we have maybe needs different approaches. As Professor Andi has presented, that Indonesia is a very disaster-prone area, and there are a lot of needs of humanitarian actions in every disasters. So now we will continue to the discussions. The first part of the discussions, we will give an opportunity to the presenters to ask one another. So maybe you'd like to know more about what the other are presenting, or maybe clarified something with the other presenter. So the first opportunity I will give to Professor Andi Asadul Islam. Is there any questions to Professor Maliawan or to Mr. Philippe Stoll? Professor Andi,
Yes,
are you?
to Professor Maliawan. As Prof. Maliawan, there is a continuous collaboration with the Kaohsiung University until now? It's a simple question.
Yes, right now, all of the most of the professor who organized it at the first time already retired, but still there is a communication between him, a young professor, a young plastic surgeon come, and when the department there is still a difficult cases, we should send the photograph of the patient and then coordination with him. They will advise, or sometimes this ask the patient and one of his family come to his hospital in very complex cases. We still have communication with them.
Yes, it's another one. There's a new hospital in Ambon. It's a vertical hospital named Dr. Lemena Hospital. It's a very new hospital. It's just last year, and then they need support from all of us. No neurosurgeon, just only maybe one surgeon over there. It's a very new hospital, and we would like to go there maybe next month, and then I hope the ICS, especially Indonesian section, have a good, a good opportunity to help them and making another collaboration with the new hospital in Ambon. So, would you like to join us, or especially Prof from Kaohsiung University? Thank you, Prof. Sri Maliawan.
Yes, very nice. It's very interesting. Okay? But in my center now, there is one trainee come from Ambon now. He is in the first year in Bali in neurosurgical center. And I heard also one from Jakarta. Maybe he will graduate next year, come to Ambon also. He will send. He was sent from government of Ambon. Okay, and very interesting. Let me know and what we say, cooperate and talk what we can do. Thank you, Professor Andi.
Thank you very much, Professor Andi, Asadul, and Prof. Maliawan. Now, the second opportunity I will give to Mr. Philippe Stoll. Would you like to ask question to Professor Maliawan or Professor Andi?
I don't have really a question as such, but more conveying my admiration for the work you do I think I don't know how you do that when you sleep, because you do so much, and it's very impressive the dedication you have to do this whole work, because I'm sure you put only a small part of all the different actions you do, and this is very for me humbling and inspiring. I think I would say. I know that because my colleagues who are doctors or surgeons in the field, they do shift of 8, 10, 12 hours sometimes. But at the same time, as what you do is also on the long term with communities, with people who have little access to this medical care, and this is very impressive. So I don't have a specific question, but much more conveying my deep admiration.
Thank you, Mr. Philippe Stoll. Now the next opportunity is for Professor Sri Maliawan. Is there any questions to Mr. Philippe Stoll or Professor Andi? Please.
Yes, I have a question to Professor Andi. From Professor Andi, the University of Hasanuddin, he almost will be the first people who come to every disaster in Indonesia. I don't know how can he got the staff and support, financial and transportation there. That is I mean, Professor Andi expert in that manner. For example, I'm very jealous with him. That almost even in Aceh, the what we say, the
Tsunami.
tsunami and whatever, always the first who come and who knows any information about that. That is, I am appreciate Professor Andi to organize his people to get the support from, I don't know. I will try to learn with him. Thank you. Maybe Professor Andi can explain or share his, what we say, his expertise, how to organize and get every step and get what we say, for Aceh, for example, they can be for the first there. Yeah? That very, what we say, remarkable job, very good job. Yeah? Thank you, Professor Andi. There's a dedication of maybe.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Sri Maliawan. And this is it because of friendship. It's only with a friendship. No, we don't have any other rather than friendship. For this earthquake in West Sulawesi right now, it's from this morning to right now. I've already have support from friends from Jakarta, and then so area and Jakarta and other area. They send me money. That's very good. It just only friendship, and then because they trust me. They trust me to use money only for the support for the victims. And then I have a lot donation because of that's important. It's a friendship. You are my best friend, and you will support us. It's of course. And also Dr. Frans, Komisi Trauma
Yes,
IKB
Prof.
also send me money, 25 million just right now.
Yes.
To send to the West Sulawesi. Thank you
Yes.
for Komisi Trauma IKB.
You're welcome.
That's
Yeah. Yes,
all.
Prof. Thank you.
Very much.
Can
Okay.
I talk a little bit, comment with Dr. Andi?
Yes, Prof. Please.
Not because only friendship, but because everybody trusts you. You will do and use all of the stuff properly and transparency. That's very good.
Yeah. I think it's a very important issue that the trust and friendship between the people who are coordinating and cooperating for the support for disaster and for humanitarian actions are essential because we are not trying to how do you we are trying to support people who are in needs. Uh, thank you very much, Professor Sri Maliawan, Mr. Philippe Stoll, and Professor Andi Asadul Islam. Now, the second part of this question and answers, I'd like to open the discussions to all the participants who would like to ask directly or who would like to ask through the chat box. But first, I would like to acknowledge some of the participants from the FICS fellows from the ICS Philippines who tonight has joined us. So I think there are 2 or 3 people from the Philippine ICS that already joined us. I open the floor to the any participant who would like to ask questions. Is there any questions? I have one raised hand here, Mr. John Kennedy. Is Dr. John Kennedy, do you want to ask the question to the presenters? Okay, I think he's not available now. Is there any questions from the floor to all to the presenters? Okay, I permit myself to ask a question because I was very interested to the presentation of Mr. Philippe Stoll. ICRC are well known for the international humanitarian action. So how do you select where and when do you provide assistance? Because you have limited resources as we do here, but people who needed support are many everywhere, and I think there will be not enough for everyone. So how do you prioritize which one will be given a support? That's the first questions. The second one is, how do you maintain a sustainable support for people who are in need? Because you don't come and just go after a single visit or a single action, but you stayed there until, I don't know, until when. So it's a question of sustainability. Is it
Yes.
clear? Is my question clear?
Yes. Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Arifin. Your first question about how do we select? We have a very specific mandate, as we call it, or practice. I think it's like doctors who do a further specialization, and the International Committee of the Red Cross, our framework is conflict violence. So we do a little bit of work in natural disaster, for example, earthquake, for example, in Aceh, because we were already present. But if we are not present, we are not going to go. So this is a first clear line. We don't do development or poverty, or there are other organizations who are better than us. We were created in the battlefield, and battlefield has evolved, but we stay committed to work around the question of conflict. So the definition of conflict, there are many discussions about, is it just violence or police and so on? Is it what we saw, for example, and we often face questions like in the US these days, is it a conflict or not? There are lawyers who discuss that, and then this is our way of working. We ask the permission to work in a context, and this is always in full transparency. We will never go in a place where we are not accepted. Very often, and that's contrary to natural disaster, the situation evolves. So there was only one country over the past 50 years where we were not present when a conflict erupted, was Libya, because at the time their leader, Muammar Gaddafi, didn't want us to be already present. But otherwise, we have always been present in the country, discussing, doing trainings for the army, for example, or doing work with students around the law. And so normally we are often present in places, and then it depends on the needs, depends indeed on the money we can raise, but we have also an interesting way of working where we decide ourselves where we spend the money. So we don't need to make a special call for a special situation. We have a global pot, and that's up to us to decide. And this will be defined according to the severity of the situations, the needs, the local capacities. And that relates to your second question about how to make it sustainable. I think this is one of the most difficult questions. As I said, our DNA is to come, provide what is needed for people to survive, and then we leave. But these days, this kind of gray zone of recovery the transition between a humanitarian emergency and development is very big. So we tend to do more on the side of recovery, waiting for development agencies or states to invest, reconstruction and so on, but doesn't mean that it's clear cut. So the difficulty is for us sometimes to find a partner who is ready to take over an infrastructure, to take over the programs we do, and we don't want to create new problems in addition to existing problem. This is an ethical questions we often face. If we leave, what's going to happen to the people? Aren't they going to be even worse than where they were before we came? And we have this principle called do no harm, which is guiding us all the time when we do something. Are we not going to create more harm? A simple example is when we do food distribution, are we not going to kill the local market? And then when we leave, there is no more market or merchant or people who are ready to sell goods because we kill it, because we gave everything for free. So these are the kind of things we try to look at, but we don't have a recipe for every situation. It's up to our knowledge, the discussions we have with the local authorities, the local stakeholders, and the local Red Cross. We often also work with the local Red Cross or the local Red Crescent, depending where it is, where we build their capacities. In my case, in communication, I did a lot of training for communicators, so they know how to handle their communication once we are gone. But we pay salaries, we pay trainings and stuff like that, so that once we leave, hopefully as soon as possible, they can continue the work.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Philippe Stoll. So as we know that we work in same humanitarian services and action, but perhaps it's a very wide field that everyone can contribute with their own system and their own priorities.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we learn from each other. Sorry to continue. This is also something which is very interesting because we don't have the knowledge. We want to learn and continue to learn. And what is important is in the field of medical humanitarian action, our colleagues are not the ones who come from the West and are parachuted. It's really an exchange, and most of our colleagues are coming from other countries than Europe. This is also something we are very proud of because we contribute, but also them. You have strong capacities and people who are capable to do miracles because they are used to work with little resources, which doctors from here, they have so many machines that they can't work maybe in places where it's much more complex. So this is this exchange. We try to continue to learn and invest in that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philippe Stoll. I'd like to open the opportunity. Is there anybody from the floors who would like to ask questions? Okay. If there are no further questions, I would like to end the presentation and discussion session, and we will go to the closing session. I would like to invite Professor Kun Pramono. Professor Kun, are you with us?
Maybe can we make a photograph, just documentation for this meeting?
Oh,
you organize it.
Okay. Okay. Just a moment. I will ask the organizer. For the participant, can you open your videos to take a photograph together? Please, the technical support team to take the picture of the participant. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Professor Kun Pramono if is Professor Kun with us? Okay, so I think there is still Professor Kun, are you with us? Okay, I think there is still a problem with Professor Kun Pramono. So for the last part, we'd like to return for comments and maybe some notes from Mr. Max Downham from the ICS Global for our discussion and presentation. Mr. Max Downham, the time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Arifin. I have a number of comments, but I'll be very brief, and I'll try to go rapidly. Number one, on behalf of Professor Georgios Tsoulfas, who's the world president of the ICS, based in Thessaloniki, Greece, and all of the leaders of the college, the international parent body, I again sincerely commend the Indonesian section for its significant efforts in humanitarian surgery and humanitarian action. It's simply terrific, as I would say in English or American English. And I really, on behalf of the leadership, commend all of you. Number two, in particular, Professor Maliawan, one of your slides showed humanitarian activities in Indonesia from 2006, I think, to 2020, and 14 years. And I'm sure there were many activities before that time. And so that is representative of commitment and continuity and so forth. And I think it's just wonderfully wonderful history of the Indonesian section, and I'm sure it will continue into the future. Professor Andi, the ICS has worked with medical student groups in the past, and I think your work, in addition to the humanitarian activities, your work with medical students is commendable and I think very, very interesting. And number three, I was particularly interested in the presentation and the recent response from Mr. Stoll. I visited the International Red Cross a few years ago, and if Mr. Stoll is still on the line, I'd love to go back and visit him again. I didn't see him at that time, but I think the question that you asked, Dr. Arifin, on sustainability, I think that Mr. Stoll articulated his response very, very well. There are a number of factors involved, and certainly you don't want to do more harm than you do good, and an effort to do good when you have a presence in a particular country or area of the country. I know that Philippine section people are on the line or were on the line, and I want to take a moment to commend the Philippine section for its own humanitarian efforts over recent years, several years, because my recollection is it is extensive and commendable. And so kudos to them. Also, in particular, I want to applaud the Taiwan section of the International College of Surgeons, who has worked very closely, as Professor Maliawan indicated in his slides, with Indonesia. The Taiwan section has also done work in several other countries, Peru, Paraguay, and so forth, just to mention a few. And the Taiwan section by Professor Ali Kwan, who's the president-elect of the International College of Surgeons and her teammates. It is very, very commendable. I saw also, finally, Dr. Daniel Kokang, who is a member of the Nigerian section, ask a question, or he said hello to everybody via chat. And I was with a Swiss team to Apugo, Nigeria, in November 2019, and from a layperson's perspective, just being a part of that team and observing the activities of a humanitarian team is just, as we say in colloquial American English, it's an eye-opener. It conveys, being present to observe, conveys the great importance of humanitarian activity around the world. Mr. Stoll enumerated or articulated some statistics, and those numbers are horrendous, and the need is terrific or horrendous. And I think that there is more to be done than can be done, and certainly there is a clear need. So I think that Dr. Arifin, I thank you again for the time to comment. Hopefully I haven't spoken too long, and I really very impressed with the presentation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Downham. Last but not least, I would like to invite comments for our session from our guest, Mr. Philippe Stoll. Do you have any suggestions, or do you have any impressions of our meeting to further improvement? Please, Mr. Stoll.
I have to admit that when you sent me the invitation and I saw the time when it was happening, I was like, wow, people are still committed to listen to each other on a Friday evening at 7 p.m. in Indonesia. So, and I saw that there is 30 people online. So. I don't know what is the how to say the habits, but this is also very nice to see this desire to listen to each other. And I think in today's world where we speak to each other through screens, still having that desire to continue to learn is something also for me very interesting. I don't have much to say on the format because I found it very simple, very straightforward, and do not hesitate to contact me anytime. I'll be happy to continue to exchange with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philippe Stoll, and thank you for attending our meeting this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, finally we come to the end of the meeting session. I would like to say thank you again for all the presenters for their informative and interesting talk, and for all the audience for your participation in this meeting. Hopefully that our meeting is beneficial for everybody. Thank you for your attention, and good afternoon. Bye.
Good afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
I leave now. Goodbye, Mac.